These.
Excellent.
We are live now. So, hello and welcome back, everyone. Today I'm joined by a very special guest making a face reveal on the stream for the first time. My co-founder, Steph. Um, and of course, again, I'm Mateo. We're the founders of 3DQ. And what do we do here?
We do automation for 3D printers
Yes.
so that you can spend more of your time designing and optimizing parts and doing the fun stuff and less of the time scraping and
Doing the not so fun
not
stuff.
so fun stuff, waking up in the middle of the night and checking your printers and all that stuff.
All that, yeah, all that not so fun stuff.
Exactly.
So this week, we'll be continuing with the theme of 3D printing for fun and profit, and we'll be interviewing a couple Etsy stores today again. I think the discussions we had last time were not only super insightful, but were very interesting to see just how people are running these production facilities in their house.
Yeah, it's a whole new world with 3D printing.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a full manufacturing facility to put out a lot of product.
And so, yeah, so this week we're focusing on, because the holidays are coming up, we'll be focusing on holiday gifts and decor, and the Etsy stores we'll be talking to are, yeah, that's their kind of their primary products.
Yep. And we got some really cool holiday products. I think I'm going to be getting some for my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are new here, uh, we're so why don't we introduce kind of what 3DQ does and what the context of this stream is, like why we're hosting it and why we're talking to these guys.
Exactly. It's a good idea. So 3DQ, as we say, makes automation technology for 3D printers. We really believe that 3D printing provides a much more sustainable way of producing products. You can make things locally. You can get manufacturing into the hands of individual artisans and crafters and just super creative people. And so we want to do more of that. And as part of our mission to kind of spread the word on 3D printing, we decided, well, why not show some of these folks that are doing really cool stuff, talk to them not only about, of course, the 3D printing portion of it, but also how do you make that into a business?
Mm-hmm.
How do you, how do you kind of make some money, at least enough to offset your hobby?
Yeah.
But some people are selling a lot of stuff on Etsy, so it's pretty cool and some pretty interesting niche businesses.
Yeah.
So I think people will find it really interesting, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about Quinley.
Sure. So kind of in our past streams, we've talked about the 3DQ's main product, which is the Quinley printer automation kit. And so we actually run a 24/7 live stream of Quinley. If you're interested in looking at how a printer could possibly do all those fun maintenance tasks itself, like clearing parts off and starting print jobs. And on that stream, we printed over 400 pieces. I think it's actually closer to 500 now because 400 was where we were at the end of last week.
Yeah.
And have saved Kieran, our 3D print operator, a massive amount of time because he no longer has to scrape pieces off.
He just has to go pick them up.
Yeah, he just picks them up, and we're actually printing parts for the Quinley kits that we did a pre-sale for earlier this month. And so if you're interested in seeing those being manufactured and actually kind of seeing the kit parts, talking about the kit, you can join our Discord. All the staff there is happy to answer your questions.
Yep, ask them questions.
Yeah, and then
we definitely like questions.
We do love questions. And then also we've actually sent out a whole bunch of kits for review, and we're starting to hear back from the reviewers, and
super exciting.
It's very exciting, and they're definitely pointing out some good improvements we can make to our manuals, which has actually been, I think,
really helpful.
Yeah, extremely valuable.
And they haven't had big problems with the tech, which has also been great.
Yeah.
Little bits and pieces here and there that people are questioning, how does this work? How does that work? But Nothing major, so we're pretty happy because we're shipping next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
So
exciting to have everything, yeah, coming together like that. Um, so the kits are still actually available on our site. Anything purchased now will be shipping out after the pre-order batch.
yep.
But that's not going to take too long. That would just be probably December, January-ish.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to say for any of you who are interested in understanding how we use 3D printing in our business, our folks can answer questions on that too. So we're learning a lot about the economics of using 3D printing by using 3D printing,
Yeah,
which
it's
is kind of cool. So,
yeah,
and we're always, Mateo will tell you I'm a bit of a business geek. I love looking at different business models and talking about it. So people have questions for their own operations, particularly around efficiency or financing, that type of thing. That's my background.
yeah.
So I'm more than happy to answer those questions.
Cool. So to get to the main topic of this stream,
Holidays,
holidays.
jingle bells,
Yep.
even if we are all in
It's
lockdown.
and it's yeah, it's still November, but every year the holidays get pushed earlier and earlier.
This is true.
And I think people are kind of in the mood to celebrate something.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll be interviewing three e-commerce store owners, um, two live and one write-in this time, and just talk about kind of how they've been gearing their 3D printed product stores towards the holidays, what that looks like. Something that's really, I think, fascinating about it is how does like with a tech that's production on demand, how do you scale up for the holidays or how do you handle that workload?
Yeah. And a
Um,
lot of people are seeing a big jump this year.
yeah, I'm
People that
sure.
we've been talking to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, e-commerce has exploded, so I'm sure like
True.
custom gifts now, the availability of that is,
Well, and I have to admit, this is a new world for me. I haven't been an Etsy shopper in the past.
hmm.
And between the gamers last week and this week, holiday gifts, I literally have half of my Christmas list done.
That's awesome.
I know, just from people who've been on the live stream.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's so
just like,
cool.
this is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very super creative. Anyway, you can tell we're excited about tonight's show.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're interested in getting into 3D printing yourself or kind of have want to see how it can be used for entrepreneurship and kind of the really cool thing about printers is as we'll see is that you have total control over your product design and manufacturing. So yeah, I kind of can't wait to get into it and we'll be starting with um, Christian from Crazy Cookie Cutters plus Alpha 3D Printing Co. So he's
Two
actually
stores.
got two stores.
Yeah,
So let me just hop into call and switch it over. Why don't you introduce him while I do that?
absolutely. Uh, these Etsy stores, both of them are run by a husband and wife team from North Carolina, and they specialize in cookie cutters on the one store, and then the other various accessories and decorations. I'll be interested to hear why they decided to do two stores. I'm sure it helps target their marketing and that type of thing. And so, yeah, really looking forward to chatting with them. And I know I love the cookie cutters, and I also, I gotta say, some of their products, that rattle just cracks me up. Big Marvel fan, so
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for a baby to give it to. Maybe I'll have to give it to an adult baby.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find some. Okay, so we've got Christian here.
Hi, Christian.
Hello.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Great.
Pretty good. Just want to make sure
Excellent.
everyone can hear you fine. All right, cool. So yeah, why don't you tell us a bit about your stores and how you got into 3D printing?
I got into 3D printing about 4.5, 5 years ago. I was actually in college to be a cybersecurity and digital forensics hacker.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I got bored with it. It wasn't really a challenge to me, and I really wanted something that was a challenge. You know, every print that you're going to do, small or large, there's some sort of challenge to it. So I started off with building my first printer, every nut, wire, bolt, screw, crimp that you can think of. I had to put it together and I built my first printer. It barely worked. It barely worked. But once I finally got it to work, one thing led to the next. I started thinking, okay, well, how can I make some money off of this? How can I, just pay for my next spool of plastic? So I started, learning how to model, looking at models and stuff. And one thing led to the next. One printer paid for the next printer. And 3 years later, I can say I have a full business.
Have Christian?
I had 13.
Wow,
Yeah, that's quite a few.
that's a good
That
number.
actually seems to be like the magic number for Etsy stores.
Yeah.
We had two
Yeah,
with 12
13
or
seems to
13.
be a magic number. I got a couple that are out of commission right now. Just because, maintenance upgrades, fans break, etc.
Yep.
Let me make your video feed larger.
There we go. People get a good look at, maybe you can show us so what do you have all the same printer or do you have a bunch of different printers?
So this one is called the CR10. This is I guess you could say the big brother of the Ender 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 3 of these. I had 5 of these at one point, but again, I had to downsize. Another CR10. Here's my Ender. And then I have my Enders, one in the box. I have a laser engraver, and then another CR10.
Nice.
What printer did you start with?
The ANET A8.
Oh,
Oh,
classic.
classic. Yeah.
It was a terrible. I pulled all my hair out
Yeah.
building that printer.
One of our engineers actually, that was his first printer, I believe, and he had the power supply explode. So
Yeah, I read that at first, so I immediately opted in to learn how to install mop sets, and that was a month rabbit hole. But
yeah,
you learn.
for sure. Yeah. Um, so like, what did it look like from there? So you got your first ANET, as you said, it wasn't very great. But you used it to pay for like your first spools of filament and then the next printer, and how did you scale up from there?
Pardon me. So with the ANET A8, I saved every penny that I could to buy a CR10 because that was my dream printer. So once I got the CR10, I started selling. This is when Game of Thrones was really popping. So I was selling the little Game of Thrones phone dock chargers. They would take 12 hours just to print one of them. And within my first 2 weeks of owning the CR10, I had 100 orders.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
At
insane.
12 hours a piece, one CR10 is not going to
That's
keep
not
up
enough.
with that. And I have a week to ship this.
So
Oh no.
how did you how did you process that many orders
ahead.
at the time?
One more time?
So how did you manage, like, if you were basically running those machines as close as you could to 24/7, right?
I was not sleeping. I would
Okay.
set timers. This was before I learned about the Raspberry Pis and the whole auto scraping off. This was before I knew any of that. So I would wake up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, scrape off the printer, start it up again, and jump right back into bed.
I mean, at least you would get 12-hour cycles. I experienced.
Well,
Sort of.
that was then, yeah. Like, for example, the face shield, I was here every 2, 3 hours scraping these off. And I do have a big order right now that I have to do, but I stack mine.
Yeah. Well, the great thing with the automation tech, you've probably taken a look at our kit. These just come off one after another. The nice thing is we don't have to do any work stacking or laying out our bed.
I love it.
As soon as we have a G code file that we like, it just goes up in the queue and we just tell the queue how many to make and That's it. It's kind of nice. We're kind of spoiled. The
A
other
little bit.
the other day, Mateo was going. Hey, for some reason, you were working on a system that we had. You were working on one of the ones without the automation,
Yeah.
and he was like, "This is so archaic. What am I doing?"
Yeah. Like, yeah, even just because with things like Octoprint, they get rid of like SD cards,
Yeah.
and even that
Yeah.
is a step up. But once you get rid of like part removal and you can just loop like a couple days worth of prints on your machine, uh, going back to manual is like, why do people do this? It's like it's actually
For
really
sure.
hard to wrap your head around it.
We actually did 1,000 hours of printing on 9 printers in 5 days, and
Wow, that's
and
impressive.
and it was less than 3 hours of operator time at the printers.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Kieran spent an hour and a half changing filament, and about an hour just doing regular maintenance stuff that comes up. But because when you're running a, 1,000 hours, that's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours. I know. I do this 24/7. I work from home, so this is my full-time job.
it's full time now. Nice.
That's what we were going to ask you. So, are you planning to scale up from here? Like, where do you take this from here?
So, like I stated before, once I get my hands into something, it's kind of like a rabbit hole for me. So that rabbit hole for me was hardware and the software side of 3D printing. So now I'm teaching myself marketing and just trying to find a niche out there that does sell. I was in I guess you could say, a community of people that would print things for like a commission, and that worked out for a little, but then the orders just stopped rolling in.
Hmm.
So, I looked into, again, the laser engraver. I looked into my Crazy Cookie Cutters website. I can do custom cookie cutters, novelty items such as, T-Rex shower heads we're selling. If it sells, I'm going to sell it. I mean, if
I
it
mean that
doesn't, I'm going to take it off the top.
that's kind of the beauty of 3D printing is you don't need new equipment to completely change your product line, right?
Precisely. Precisely.
So, what kind of volume of product are you doing? And I appreciate everything always takes a different amount of time to print, but are you running like typically in a typical week, sort of 10 printers 5 days a week, or all 13 7 days a week, or how is that working for you?
I usually have between, I don't always have all 13 up and running. So I try to keep a minimum of 5 going at all times, 24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Is that pretty
between,
challenging for one person to do that?
no, believe it or not, if I emailed you guys some pictures of what I started out with, this is my office now. I can give you guys a quick little tour. So this is my workbench. This is where I polish the prints. This is where, you torch them for all the little strings. I have my boxes, my tape. This is actually my favorite thing I've ever done. This is all my failed prints and failed projects.
Yeah.
Just a little, commemoir of, wow, my first Benji boat
first
from
Benji.
4 years ago.
Nice.
It's just the little things that, make this whole hobby fun.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, back to go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, so like obviously this is your full-time job. Has it changed? Did COVID really impact it, or what? Has much changed, or what's been going on for you this year?
So before COVID hit, I was a bartender at the World Center Marriott in Orlando, Florida.
I knew you looked familiar. I knew you looked familiar.
I was a bartender at Zero, if that helps.
Nice.
So before COVID hit, I was a bartender and I already had the business established. Once the COVID hit and I officially lost my job at Marriott, that's when the face shields blew up. Nobody could get their hands on personal protection equipment. Nobody can get their hands on anything. And I'm just like, I have 15 printers just waiting by. You tell me what you need and I got you. One thing led to a next. I haven't looked for a job since then.
Very nice. So how many printers did you buy this year? Or did you have 13 coming into this?
No, I had 13 going into it. One led to a next, and I've maybe bought one printer since COVID hit, and it's still in the box.
That's
Nice.
the one on the shelf there.
And
Yeah, I have one on the shelf.
and I know people are interested not just in the 3D printing, but the business side. You said you're learning about marketing. Maybe what would be your one tip for people, your biggest tip in terms of if they wanted to get some stuff up on Etsy and bring in some customers, what would your tip be?
Number one tip would be do your research, find a market, and stick to that market. There's a fantastic website. Don't tell anybody. These are my secrets. It's called Etsy Rank. It's for $10 a month. You can type in a keyword, for example. A big thing is the gotcha symbol, right?
Yeah.
I know that's really popular among, my age group and the generation before and after me. So what do you do whenever you have something that is popular and you see a trend, but there's not really a product out there? Well, you make one.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
You can research. YouTube will be your best friend. Etsy Rank will be your best friend. Ask people in the community what they do. Don't ask what they sell, perhaps, because nobody's going to tell you what they sell, I promise. But more of like, how did you get to be where you are? What are the questions that you've asked?
Absolutely.
And go outside of Etsy. Go to your local bakery.
Nice.
Yeah.
Opportunities everywhere,
Yeah, I think that's a really good, really smart tip, Christian. And thank you so much for joining us
Thank you for having
tonight.
me.
No,
Thank you.
it's great. We love your shop, and
Thank you.
we love your stuff. I love your T-Rex. Like, oh my
The
God,
T-Rex?
The shower.
the shower
You
head
tell me
is
a
just.
color and I'll make one for you.
It's brilliant. It is brilliant.
I'll just send you the file. How about that?
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
I'll-
true. We
I'll-
do have 50 printers here.
We
So.
do have, yes, we
We
do
can
have
do it in the
50.
rainbow.
I'll tell you what, we'll maybe we'll see if we can do this on our live stream and let people know they can get it from you.
I
That's-
like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll see if our guys can do that. Maybe
Sure.
do a little overlay and do a few of these if you send us the file, and then yeah,
For
we'll
sure.
shoot them off and get people to see it. Yep, well, that's what we're all about, right?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you after the stream, Christian.
Yeah.
For sure. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
That's pretty cool.
That is so
I like
cool.
its store a lot.
I know, so much fun. Well, you can tell, I've always said in business, if people really like what they're doing, you can tell. Like it just shows in their business,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
If they have a passion for what they're doing, even it can be really hard starting out, a lot of work, but if you love what you're doing and you get out there and find the people who also love what you're doing,
Yeah.
it just makes all the difference. And it's a hard being in small business and running a small business, and particularly in the starting stages, super, super hard. So you need to be passionate, and you need something that keeps giving you energy. So that on that note, I think we're gonna move to our next
Yes.
Etsy store, which
Yeah.
I also love. I love these products.
It's a hard,
Oh, hold on 1 second.
particularly
Anna,
in
can you hear us?
yes.
All right.
To be passionate, you need something that's
Do you mind muting your stream in the background?
yes.
Thank you. Just so we don't I mean, I'm
Of
sure
course.
they'd love to hear what we have to say, but not 50 times echoing.
Twice.
Yeah,
Of course.
cool.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. We're so pleased to have you here tonight. We love your store. Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
We got video. Woo! I particularly like this snowflake. I have a number of sisters and sister-in-laws that will get that one this holiday. So that's what I said. Half my gift list has already been taken care of between T-Rex shower heads and very clever snowflakes. I'm all over it.
Yeah, this flake is insane. This came to us actually as a request from a friend of our front door neighbor. She was just like, you guys, can you do this? I have a picture and I would like it done. So we made 5 for her. And then a friend of ours saw on Instagram what we had done and she requested some more. And then we were like, okay, let's put it in the Etsy store because
Exactly.
the print is not really our thing.
It's
So we were
great. It's just
putting it on Etsy, but then it turned out that it's crazy. We are having to let go and like sell out because we can't fulfill all the orders. So we'll let it sell out, and then when we fulfill all the orders, we get everything going again.
wow. Well, we got 50 printers here if you need any help.
Yeah.
And ours are automated, so we just let them go.
No, you have to wake up at 2 a.m. to press play again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're pretty spoiled. We just load everything up at the beginning of the week, and then we just have to watch that we refill the filament once in a while, and we're good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super fun. So let's start at the beginning. Would love to know how you got into this and yeah, how did you get into 3D printing? How did you get into the Etsy store? Give some of your background.
So yeah, my husband is the one that loves 3D printing. He's U.S. Naval Academy graduate, and we were in the Navy. He just got like one of those first rep printers back in 2010 or 11, something like that, and he's been into 3D printing since then. I don't know if you guys know the Bram. He's actually the guy, the dude that came up with the Bram for the prints.
Really?
And yeah, so he got in touch
That's
with the people
pretty
from
cool.
Rep, and because he kept on running on these problems where everything would lift from the bed, and he came up with that and contacted the guys at Rep and was like, hey, you need to do this, and then everybody does it nowadays.
That's pretty exciting.
That's very exciting. I'm so sorry he's not on with us. So you'll have to
Yeah.
tell him that we're very impressed.
Yeah.
We
It's
bow
like-
down to his genius.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
He's the shy one of us.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Not everybody likes the camera.
I know, right? So yeah, we've been so he's been into it, and I kind of got into it a little later on as I saw him progressing with all those things. Nowadays he's a big Prusa fan.
Mhm.
We are big Prusa fans, and so we have 2 Mark 2.5 Prusas. We have a Prusa Mini. And then we got 2 10 logs, which are the ones that have the 2 heads for color prints.
Nice.
And then we just got into these 31 E20, and we got 2 of those as well. And it's a very impressive printer. As we keep on playing with it, it's very impressive.
Nice. Excellent. So you've got, how many is that all together?
So we have 7 right now.
Okay.
And is this a full-time job for you guys, or is this just kind of a side gig, or?
Yeah, he's retired from the Navy now. So we, mostly me, I run the store, right? And I come up with the ideas and schedules and things like that for us to be able to do some of the things that we do. We get a lot of also things, ideas from customers. They just come up with things and they send us a message and they're like, can you do this? And we're usually, yeah, we can do that. So we ended up just printing things that people, because when one customer asks for it, it kind of gives you like, okay, some more people might like that as well.
Exactly.
So we put it in the store, and it turns out that that works really, really well for us. So it started as a hobby, but boy, I've been sitting in this desk for a long time every day. It started as a hobby, right now is just full time, nonstop.
And it probably gets busier from now till the holidays, I would think.
Yeah, we got into a point where we had about 100 orders to fulfill, and we were kind of like, okay, how we're gonna do this? Because we don't want to close down the store.
No.
But we don't want to put on vacation mode because we don't want to lose what we have going on right now.
Right.
So we just kind of lowered our expectations to set up some boundaries on what we got to do and quantities of items that we can produce a day. We're doing a lot of math nowadays to figure it out, how much we can produce, how many hours, how many times we have to get up in the middle of the night to change filament or to just restart a print. So
that's just brutal.
Yeah.
Getting up in the middle of the night. We're pretty spoiled with our automation now because we don't do that anymore. The print queue runs everything, but
I'm curious to know what's your main bottleneck in terms of production right now, running all these machines?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like, what at the moment is preventing you? I guess a better question to start with is how out of 24 hours in a day, how much do you run these machines? Are they all up 100% of the time, or are they?
Yeah, they are 100% of the time. We started the store last year, but we kind of gave up on it. And then when it was May, after my husband made me a blueprint of the office from the office show.
Mm-hmm.
Dunder Mifflin, yeah.
Dunder Mifflin blueprint. He made me I think either for my birthday or for Mother's Day. No, it was for my birthday. And then a lot of people saw and they were like, why don't you have an Etsy store? You need to open a store. You need to sell these things. So we started with that one Prusa Mark 2.5. And since from May until now, we bought 6 printers.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It took off really, really fast. And we just got together our secondary one yesterday, and it's already producing. It's already it got it to work.
Yeah, gotta start printing on it immediately.
Oh yeah, but they are on 24 hours a day. They are just not staying. They're not going to sleep.
How do you manage the work cycles? Because obviously you do have to sleep at some point. So are you batching prints on a single print bed, or how are you doing that? Like so that they reset every 8 hours or something like that?
Yeah, so we have the printers that do the flakes, which are the 10 logs. Since they have the 2 heads, it's basically like having 4 printers because we have 2 of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have 4 heads altogether, and then we get them to do the little flakes. And then we have the other ones that are I can tell I'm very perfectionist, and sometimes there's just this little tiny thing on the print, and I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna sell this.
Yeah.
It needs to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not selling this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I put him to work to get like the most he could get out of high definition and really good quality. So we have the specific printers that we like for that type of job. So they are smooth, especially because we have a lot of signs and TV show logos. So they need to be as smooth as possible because it's something that people display in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So yeah, so we try to be like we have some that do some type of work, the other ones do some other type of work, and then depending on when we need to fulfill, that's when we just trade. Like, okay, we'll put the mini to do this, and we'll put the airy ones to do that, so we can jiggle everything.
So you're kind of dedicating certain printers to certain products.
Yeah, because the demand has been so high that we weren't able to calibrate the 10 logs very well yet. So right now they are running well doing the flakes, right? The 2020 ornament flakes.
Mm-hmm.
And we can stop to just work a day or two on them just to make their profile perfect to do signs or anything like that. So we just figured we're just going to keep on doing the ornaments with them. And when a demand calms down, that we have the time for it, we'll play with them and make sure that they are as sharp as the other ones.
I see.
Nice. We actually had a question from one of our viewers. They're asking, are there any issues with trademarks or copyright issues with when you start doing models like from the office and stuff?
So far, we hadn't had any issues. We haven't run in anything because basically it's like we're not copying the photo exactly. We do so many modifications because when you grab something, a picture for you to get inspired into, we put into a photo program, and then that changes a little bit of the image, and then it goes into a lithophane program that you need to make adjustments to it. So it has changed so many times that you can't really tell that is somebody else's art. You understand what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you put so much work into that art that it kind of like doesn't
Yeah, there's a rule in copyright law about transformative
yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it depends how much modification you're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're wondering, another question, how do you decide what shows to print for?
Oh yeah, so
Always a good
because of the
question. Where do your product ideas come from, right?
yeah, so because of this blueprint, my husband actually he got a bunch of stuff for me, and he just made a bunch of stuff for the office because I'm the obsessed one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked him to make one of those of the friends. So I basically tell him what I like because I'm a consumer. I'm the one that shops. So it's kind of I come up with ideas and I tell him like maybe I would like to see this. I would like to have this. So we started with the office things as of a first, just because that's what we had and that's what he gave it to me. And then later on, we started like the demand was so high for the office signs for the doors because everybody's home, so they all want the office sign on
They
their
miss work.
door in their homes.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, well, let's try to get more quotes that are famous from other shows. And just as of lately, I have actually a customer that got in touch with us, and she said that she was a huge Parks and Rec fan, and she asked us to do the same sign, but she asked me to put like the Wiz Palace, which is a quote from the show.
Yeah.
So we adapted and made a new art for her the way that she wanted. She even wanted like the cross legs instead of the two little guys with crossed legs instead of the bathtub.
Yeah.
And that's been going well. And then after the snowflake took off, the shop has been seeing a lot by all types of reasons. Like everybody just gets into the shop nowadays, and they have different requests. And we had a person that got five sitcoms logos. He asked for Seinfeld and the a sign for the pub from How I Met Your Mother. So basically, these customers are giving us ideas, and we usually we even charge for the design because that's a lot of the time that the machine will print, but we spend a lot of time designing it.
Absolutely.
And on one of those in these signs, it's kind of like, we're gonna spend the time, but I know this is a sale that will happen again. So I don't even think it's fair because they're giving me a great idea. So a lot of customers just get in touch with us and they're like, can you do this? And we're like, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And then not even 2 or 3 days later, we get more sales on that item. So
Nice.
I feel like they are pointing us in the direction that we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
So another, this is a 3D printing question, but what layer height do you print at?
I think this is about a 1/4 inch. We basically divide them, right? So we make the base thick. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but we try to make the base thicker, and then the letters are also 3D. So there's 0.1. Somebody's yelling from downstairs.
0.1? Okay, there we go.
That's
0.1
really
layer
high.
height.
Yeah, that's quite high.
Yeah. Excellent.
Cool.
So, I'm interested to hear, because it sounds to me like you're getting a bit of, oh, there's a question. Where can they request ideas? You're already you're gonna get requests right now. So where can they request them?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page that you can find us there. It's Faber Forge. And we also are on Etsy. We are Faber Forge at Etsy. And you can get in touch with us from there. You can send us a message. I usually reply within a couple hours.
Nice.
Yeah. She's talking to us right now. So, she'll be a couple of minutes, but then she'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this is great.
Probably
So
tomorrow morning.
what we're seeing, we're seeing you get some traction on novelty items. There's sort of, I see a little bit of a theme kind of occurring here, a little bit edgy, a little bit also trendy. Where do you see the store going from here? Because you've also got these beautiful planters, and I love your planters. They're just amazing. And then you've got the gift card bow. And do you feel like there's a certain direction that you're now going to be heading with your business?
So we found out that we are really good at our lithophanes, right? And most of the things that we sell are just signs and things like that. Like we're just starting to sell some of the planters, which was one of my ideas. But I feel like the more that we do this, we're more focused on TV entertainment. My idea for the store was basically to do everything that was fun. So if it is a fun thing, a fandom thing, or things that are like a little retro or a little nostalgic, like these old TV shows, people have love for them, so they usually spend their money on things that belong to that. Like I do have it around the house, my blueprint on my wall, and my friend's frame on my front door as well. So I figured that whatever I'm into, probably a lot of people will be into too. So we try to focus on like the fun little things that are your household things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Very nice. So, do you, question on the business side, do you have a business background, or is this brand new for you, or?
So I used to have a Etsy store where I did crochet stuff when my son was born 9 years ago. And so I did a little bit of that, and then just life got caught up, and I kind of like just gave up on the store because it was just too much for me. It's a lot of work with your hands, and they were starting to give me shoulder problems, and like my arms and my hands weren't fulfilling all the orders, and I was just getting in so much pain.
Yeah.
And usually those things they can't be too expensive because otherwise they don't sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that, but I actually I have a bachelor's degree in advertising.
Okay.
Nice. So how do you promote your store, or are you finding you've just got enough natural traction now that you just deal with the orders that are coming in?
So we started with the Facebook page, which it still doesn't have much of a community build up or anything. And we like to post things there of not only things that we do as in a sale point of view, but we like to explain how to achieve things that we do here. So how do you make this lithophane, or how you can get that kind of result. So it's more of it's not only we are gonna sell this in the store, but it's like, oh, this dude can help me to learn how to do this, you know.
Cool.
And then we have a little Instagram page where I just post things that we've made, but most have come just naturally from the store. It's funny, but it's like the office was the first thing that took off for us, the office signs, and now the flakes have taken off greatly. And because of these two items, I feel like everything else in the store is starting to sell. So I mean, we've been only doing this for not even 6 months, and we're doing this full time. So it picked up really fast.
Good for you. Well, congratulations on all of this. One last thing, maybe if you can tell people, if you had one tip for them, one thing maybe you wish you knew before 6 months ago, before you got into this, what would that be? What's sort of the one secret you want to share with everybody?
I think that you need to listen to your guts as well, because if you say, I like this, there are many people on earth that like the same thing as you. So just listen to your guts, stick to what you know best, because it doesn't really matter if you want to print something that you don't do that well. So stick to the thing that you know how to do and know how to do well. Be very, very nice to your customers, because they are the ones buying from you. They are the ones that are giving you the reviews. So be as kind and as nice as possible to them, because they are the ones making your store. And don't give up. You start adding products, put a bunch of stuff in the store, see what takes off. Whatever doesn't take off, you just leave it aside and go in the direction that the store is pointing you at.
Great advice, really good advice. And it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And, I'm looking forward to getting some of those snowflakes for some special ladies in my family who all will just bust a gut when they open their Christmas presents.
Sure.
They're going to think that's pretty funny. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Great having you. Talk to you later, Anna.
Bye.
Bye. So our final person, Amber, has another really interesting take on the Etsy store. She's located in the UK, so she's not on live with us tonight because hopefully she's sleeping and not up tending her 3D printers.
At 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. Yeah. But we'll show you a little bit about her store. She's actually does some really, really interesting, she has a really interesting mix of products because she is a pet portraitist. And by that, what I mean is she does portraits of pets.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously a real artist. So she told us she lives with her husband, Scott, their beautiful puppy Pixel, the cardigan Welsh Corgi, very cute, and Ren, the orphan baby squirrel, which I wish he was on. I want to hear about this orphan baby squirrel.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So she originally started her Etsy store in 2014, so she's been at it a long time. And she started by just creating really realistic, lifelike portraits of animals, all types of breeds, shapes, sizes, colors. You'll see on her site that she does have a lot of drawings and greeting cards and different things. It's not just 3D printing. And her mission is really to keep the pet to make the pet owner feel included. So
Okay.
she really wants to do custom portraits for people so they can have their pet on their tea towel or their mug or a greeting card, which I think is
That's pretty cool.
very cool. It's let's face it, you can't very often take your pets to like Disneyland and get the waterlogged photo, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the next best thing.
I'm
So
I'm curious how she would draw my dog.
yes, well,
I should commission a
you
portrait
should
and see.
commission a portrait. I think we need a picture of your dog.
I'll have to make it a hotkey on the stream for next stream.
Absolutely, yes, because
Yeah.
your dog is definitely a
He
unique.
looks like when a print fails and you end up with a big bunch of filament.
He does. He literally just looks like you're gonna show us a pulley. There we
Yeah,
go.
he looks like this.
That's what he looks like. So yeah, we definitely have to get a portrait
Yeah.
of Carbon.
I wonder if he inspired me to get into 3D printing.
Maybe.
All the
He looks
strings.
like a 3D print.
Yeah.
A stringy 3D print.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so Amber, as I say, she's been running this store since 2014. And then her husband said, "Hey, you're doing all these portraits for people. Why don't you 3D print some things?" So, so mostly they've been focusing on dogs and cats. And as you'll see on the store, Mateo's got it up here. Mostly the cookie cutters, but they try to get a whole bunch of different breeds. I didn't see a pulley on their site though.
Not yet.
No, not yet. That would be a little trickier to do. I feel like a cookie cutter of a pulley
Yeah,
might be a little
I'm sure
tricky.
you would do that.
But they do try to include as many breeds as possible, and of course they take custom orders. Not surprising, of course, when you're dealing with pets. So like a lot of the couples we've talked to tonight, her husband actually does the 3D printing, and she says that with the holiday season coming, it's going to be super busy. She's going to print kind of a month in advance. So they have 3 Prusa i3s.
Yeah.
So relatively small, but they must be keeping them going.
Yeah, and it's not their primary product, obviously, but
That's right. Yeah, because they do so much of the portrait.
and I'm sure those are actually plenty for the smaller cookie cutter parts.
I would think so. Yeah, I mean cookie cutters. I don't know. We've never printed cookie cutters here, but have you done cookie cutters?
Tavi actually printed one.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was her very first print when she started working here. She printed a bat cookie cutter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So, yeah. So obviously, there's a lot of things they could do with their 3D printers, and I'm interested to see where they take the printing side of things. But
something that seems to be a common theme, which you wrote about here in the email, was a lot of people are relying kind of on what's most in demand, and they tend to just overproduce those or produce those in advance based on their order demand. So she was talking about how they tend to start printing high demand things about a month in advance, which I think is probably the furthest in advance that we've heard. But it's kind of interesting how that does mean somebody, presumably Amber, has to spend time like looking at all their shop stats and actually creating these schedules a month out.
Yeah, to figure out what they're going to produce.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people are looping too.
Yeah.
Which works to a certain extent. But then she goes on to say, before COVID, her husband would set the printer up in the morning before he went to work, and then he taught her how to remove the prints and start the next print. So she would do that during the day, and then when he got back, he'd get the next print started and finish them overnight. So now he's at home, he can manage prints throughout the day, but that's still a lot of running back and forth. And as we've said a couple of times tonight with our system, part of the reason our folks are loving the system is because you no longer have to run back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? You just put everything in the queue and
yeah. I mean
queue
that
runs.
schedule was super familiar to me before I started working on the automated part removal, because that's exactly what I was doing. I would even sometimes call my parents at lunch while I was in school and be like, "Can you check that it printed well? And if it did, can you start another one?" And like,
Because there's nothing parents like more than their
yeah.
teenager phoning them and saying, "Can you work for me?"
And I'm not sure whether it was on purpose or not, but those prints didn't work out too well, and I stopped asking them. So, thinking back on it, it might have been intentional.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but now we don't have to worry about that with the automation kit.
No,
There's
and
no,
that's what we're super excited to get that automation out to people so that they're not doing that too, because
yeah,
you can see, we've seen tonight all kinds of cool products,
yeah,
and it just breaks my heart people are waking up in the middle of the night to do this.
yeah. Like you
It's
can,
crazy.
a lot of their passion lies um, in action. Like with Christian, he was saying you could clearly tell his passion was in finding the right products and designing the right products. And the
Exactly.
same with Anna too, is it just probably looking back on the interview, the amount of time we spent talking about coming up with the products and finding them, that's clearly more interesting to everyone than scraping parts off and putting weird adhesives on your printer just to get your parts sticking
Exactly.
well.
Exactly. So, uh, so it's interesting because they're also, just to give you an idea of how entrepreneurial some of our guests are, they're also looking at opening a pet cafe at their summer house because they want a place where customers can come with their pets,
Hmm.
take a look at their different
Could
products,
have like
and
live portraiture.
I don't see why not, right?
That'd be cool.
And then they also have a Facebook group, as do many of our folks, and yeah, they just have a community they're building that share everything about their pets. Um, but they said one of the things they wish they knew, because we did ask her by email, what are one of the things you wish you knew before getting into 3D printing, is the amount of competition on
Yeah,
Etsy. I think anywhere in 3D
I
printing.
think, yeah, everywhere. There's been, I think just as an industry, there's been kind of a race to the bottom in terms of how cheap can you get parts made. And I think what we're seeing now is there's a lot of competition, but even once you get big, you start getting bottlenecked by the amount of labor required. Like all of the people we've interviewed, I don't think any of them are managing more than 20 printers themselves.
No, no, I
And
don't think we've heard that from
yeah,
anybody.
and the
Even the
demand
people,
is clearly there, right?
exactly, because they're printing a month in advance or more than a month in advance, and the demand is there. So
Yeah, it's
it's
kind of interesting to see that now across the 7 interviews that we've done.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so they were just saying, you don't want to get lost in the crowd. You want to focus on
Hmm.
custom work, hand design things, as we saw with our last store, something that's trendy, something that grabs attention, maybe a little edgy, something people are going to talk about. Um, and and she said her husband would love our technology because she said
Are you
would
sure you didn't
definitely.
write that in there?
I did. I just typed it in.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
no. She said because it would really decrease a lot of wasted time.
yeah.
But she goes on to say she'd feel bad replacing him with tech. But I'm kind of thinking, he could spend more time on other
Maybe, yeah,
important things.
yeah. Maybe it's not the best if you send your husband into the basement like 5 hours a day
Yeah,
replacing parts.
exactly. But yeah, so very exciting to connect with all these folks on Etsy and see how successful their stores have been and what they've been able to come up with. And we always look forward to hearing back from our own community on
Hmm.
this stuff. Um, and I guess just before we end, because I'm seeing we're just about out of time, we should just let folks know that because I know some of the folks on our stream have ordered their Quinley kits. As a reminder, because you should have already got our email, you do need a Raspberry Pi if you're going to go wireless and put software on your printer. And so we have put together a Pi kit for those of you who don't want to go out and source the 7 or 8 different pieces that you need. Uh, and so you can order that now. We got it on a super good price, and we preload it with Quinley and everything, so you can
Yeah, it
just
saves you a whole bunch of time.
saves you a whole bunch of time and aggravation. So
Potentially, yeah. Um, yeah, so also if you do want to come and talk to us directly more about 3D printing or about how to automate or optimize your 3D printers for production, we have 51 printers at our office, so we know a bit about working with a ton of 3D printers. Uh, Feel free to join our Discord. There's always somebody in there happy to answer your guys' questions, or about the kit as well. And then we're really looking forward. Our reviewers are in kind of, some of them are in the middle of building, and some of them have just started using the kits we shipped out to them. So we're really excited to, well, we've been getting feedback, but we're really excited to see what the final review looks like, and then sharing that with you guys.
and next week I think we're going to be talking about materials and
Yes,
exploring some of the materials. As
yes,
you can imagine, because we're dealing with our self-releasing bed, different materials respond differently. We've been doing a whole bunch of testing, and we'll have Stephen on from our team
yeah.
to talk with Matteo about what they've been finding out about a bunch of different materials. And
We have some pretty exciting things to share, I think. Like that's probably been one of the biggest questions people ask us, is how to use these materials. And in 3D printing, anyone with a printer knows like materials can
yeah,
vary so much.
makes
So
all the difference.
yeah.
So definitely join us next week. We'll talk about materials, and we'll answer any of your questions, obviously, on the community Discord. And I just want to say it's been great being on with you,
Yeah.
Matteo. I never get to see Matteo. We work opposite shifts practically with COVID
Yeah,
and everything.
you're
So
you're 6 to 6 and I'm 11
to
to
11,
11. Yeah.
pretty much. All right.
All right.
So thanks, everybody.
We'll see you next week. So long. Farewell.